Welcome to another Quantum Conversation. I'm Loren Gailey, and I invite you to sit back as we enter the quantum realm, that space of the greater part of you. It is your connection to infinite possibilities, infinite potential, and infinite mastery. Welcome to another episode in our Quantum Conversation Summit series. This is Timelines, Creating the Highest Benevolent Outcome. Today we are with Adria Estribou, a joyful mystic who channels the angels and helps us move into new earth frequencies. Today we're talking about timeline clearing of ourselves in other time expressions. Let's say hello to Adria. Thank you, Adria, for being here. So good to see you again.
Ren, it's lovely to see you. I'm very excited about timelines.
Yes, this is such a fascinating topic, summit series that we're doing because we're learning that it's all here. We have access to everything here in this quantum moment.
Yes.
Stuff that gets in the way. And the stuff that gets in the way helps us keep looping in a cycle. So as we dive into our conversation today, I'd like you to share your insight, your impression, your idea or definition of timelines and how you think that the angels see our timelines.
Yes, I love that. I'll give my impression first, and I think we can always ask the angels to clarify because for me, they just started working with people around timelines. So the concept, although I've seen it in movies and other things, is a bit, I wonder, is it the same name? Is it something I know by another way of being or not? But what I've come to experience this time is very different now. And exactly as you said, what I experience over and over again, and what the angels say over and over again, is our power is right now. So don't get too distracted by what's going to happen in the future, what happened in the past, what about this other lifetime, because right here from this time point, we can influence all of that. Like we're at the hub of a wheel and we're connected with other lifetimes, other times. And if we have some people, let's say, have a premonition and a dream that they're going to about to encounter a big trauma, well, you can clear that trauma now. You don't have to sit in fear waiting for this thing to happen. And you can probably shift what's going to happen as well. Maybe not always, but we have so much tremendous power right now. And yes, absolutely. The patterns, it's our habit. We think of ourselves a certain way. We have really strong identifications about what our skills are or aren't. And all that's kind of off the table now in New Earth. So much is coming online for so many of us. And yet, if we keep ourselves in our own limited thinking, but I know myself, I've tested out these gifts and I don't have them, well, did you test it out now? Because yesterday and today are not the same. So it really takes this kind of playful bravery to say, you know what, I'm the empowered being here and the time is now. And yes, even if something has been true daily for many years or even lifetimes for me, doesn't mean I need to stay in that cycle. So absolutely, I'm learning that too in my own life. And it's such a thrilling time to be alive because we have so much more access to information, gifts, energy flows, and time is definitely, I feel like, so much more malleable in my experience than I've ever felt it to be before.
So what does that mean? Does that mean that you were able to bend time, move in and out of time, access information?
Yeah, there's a couple things coming up. So I think probably a lot of us have experienced doing healing, from a different time point in this lifetime. Let's say you had something sad happened when you were 7, and you go back and kind of visit that, at least emotionally, conceptually, visit that part of the grieving part and bring solace. Well, lately what I found is my child self is popping in and telling me things about my future that come true. I said, okay, so the next time that happened, I asked her, so how do you know this? She said, oh, you're about to learn to time travel. It's like, okay. So I have visits now from my past and future selves, which is pretty funny. It's not all, I don't always quite understand like why they've appeared, but that's new for me. I think that on a really practical level, many of us have experienced this. You know, you have an hour, it's not enough time to get everything done you want to, and if you pray about it or just intend, let's just let this be enough time, often it is. Or if you're so bored and you have to, I hate this expression, but kill time, you can have it move more quickly for you in your experience. So those are some of the more practical um, daily sort of implications. I'm also starting to experience that the interplay between time and place. So if I'm at a restaurant where I've been multiple times over different years and I'm sitting there now, it feels very real to me the other times I've been there, as if it's just a very different to me experience of time. It feels those times, memories feel as present. It doesn't feel like just remembering it. It's like they're right there sitting in the place, but at a different time. So that's a few examples.
Yes, that's very cool. So when you're talking time, like memories in that place, is that other times you've been there, or is it other lifetimes, other times in this lifetime you've been there?
Other times in this lifetime so far, yes, in terms of what's felt really different in the last month or two around time, my experience of time.
Yes, it's almost as if, gosh, what I'm sensing is, and I thought about this a long time ago when I was a young woman in Washington, D.C. at the Washington Monument. And I was just so thrilled with the space, the heart of the country. And so much went on there from the civil rights movements. We saw all the mm, walks that people do, I don't want to say protest, but when they stand for what they want to represent, that Washington Mall is the monument is really where people go. And so isn't it amazing if time stood still? So, and that's what you brought up when in my memory, when you said you'd go to a place and the memory's right there. So if
Yeah.
time stood still and we go to places like sacred sites, we'd all be there together.
Oh, I love that.
Right?
Wow.
We're all weaving each other when we weave, when we visit different places, like Mount Shasta, for example. When we
Mm.
go visit these places, we're literally walking in the same footprints. My gosh, we're probably walking in the same footprints as Jesus and other ascended masters who walk the earth. So that's really amazing, isn't it?
It
What
is
are we
amazing.
supposed to do with that?
Yeah, it's
Um,
a great question. I feel, especially just in the last week, that's as usual, such great timing to speak with you. So many things are changing so fast for me and my gifts. I just have these moments where I'm like, oh, I know too much, and it's just overwhelming. But then I just kind of laugh and say, okay, the angels say so much. This is a time of exploration. We've come out of a time and maybe multiple lifetimes of this kind of linear sense of purpose, and you see the horizon, but this isn't that. And so if we drop this sense that we have to master what's coming through, how to work with time and just playfully, well, is this something I'm even interested in? Maybe I'll let other people play with time. Or if I want to, it's just that curiosity. Well, what if I do this? What if I do that? And if something comes up new, you don't have to necessarily define it right away or be a master at it or use it to heal other people ever or right away. Just that playful exploration. I just feel like so much is open. It would be impossible to expect of ourselves that we're going to understand it all and master it all instantly. And that's not what's being asked of us. It's just open now. So it's a marvel.
it's open now. Some have said that they see it as like a spiral of time
Mm,
And so as we move in that, cycles within cycles, that could be one thing. And
mm,
it's amazing that this information, so if we're in the center of it, if we are literally the center, as you said, the angels say it's all right here, our power is right now. And when we think about going and healing some of those timelines, talk about time travel, because this is what we're doing when we're healing those timelines, isn't it? We actually are going back into the energy of that time and that memory. And we are what? We're reconfiguring it. We are using our imagination to correct any distortions. Is that how you see it?
Can we send this one to the angels, this question? Because I actually don't know. I
Okay.
don't know how time travel works. I've done it a little bit with them, but yeah, that's all right. We'll see if Angel Ariel or Raphael wants to answer this one. This is Angel Ariel. Yeah, so angelic perspective and human perspective are, let's say, dovetail and overlap. But from angelic perspective, time travel is quite simple because you are beings of light and light moves faster than time. So, in terms of the practical aspect, please don't put up barriers that this is so hard. But you are not used to doing this, so it's not necessarily a daily practice, nor would it make sense, perhaps, to be traveling all day long in time, because from the perspective of a centered being, an exploration of your own soul and your own reasons for this journey on this timeline, it may get a distraction to be jumping around so much. So, from angelic perspective, there's very little need to go back and fix, correct? It's more about being where you are. But sometimes you can feel into, and this is what anyone can do quite simply. Let's say you want to plan travel or are thinking about moving, but you don't know which year, which month. You can ask yourself to feel into the energy. Well, what about this time frame in this place for me? And feel how the energy changes. Now, some of you are very visual, some auditory, and some feel it in your physical self. So, how this comes back as information to you is going to vary person to person. But we would say that a practical way of using time travel or time listening, maybe you could call it, is to play out a little bit. It's sending a little test balloon. Well, what about July for meeting this new person or starting this new business? What about moving in August, or what about moving in September? And feel they may be neutral. One may really light up for you in some way, and then you have one more piece of information. It's still not about, from angelic perspective, being told what to do by time or anyone or anything else. But you can get inclinations of potential futures, and a lot of that has to do with what are the synchronicities? Are other people that you want to play with aligned and in the field in that time? Or is it best to wait a bit till they are ready?
Thank you. I love that response. And it really shows us the power of feeling into our present moment. And so we're going to practice that. We're going to use that when we go and ask about certain times and things in our life. Wonderful. Now, something else that Adria said was really fascinating, that the child self, the inner child, has been showing up and saying what's going to happen in the future. How does that work? Can you share more on how we can each tap into that as well?
Yes, this is Angel Raphael. So again, time travel is not a requirement for ascension, right? So please don't feel this burden around it. I haven't gotten it yet. I haven't gotten that visit from my future self. It's all right. But it's something that comes more and more frequently in the field for people as an option. So if you are someone who likes to play with that, we would say have the intention to invite yourself, hey, if any of me, me in multiple time structures wants to come with a message, I would love to receive that. And so that it's like opening a window for the cat to come home, right? They may or may not, you don't know exactly when, but you've created the opening. So the technical, many people are adept at the technical configurations of this, but in the new human DNA, so as you have gradually ascended here in the last few years, each of you, you do have the capability for this. So you don't really need to technically know, you just intend. So keep it simple to start.
All right, thank you. Can you share more on the new human DNA?
Yeah, this is Adria asking me to take this one at least to start. So the angels have been speaking probably since 2019 or thereabouts about this huge change for humankind. And I'm sure that you and your listeners are aware too, because New Earth is part of your expression of what you're offering here, that we've come into what some people call New Earth. I love this term because it's just not so technical, but it gives you a sense of, yeah, this is different. Where the energies are different, we are different. And there's been physical adaptation in order for us to take advantage of all these energies. So many of us have experienced, I'm definitely in this camp, sleep disturbances, weight gain, just uh, physical challenges as things clear. And some of that is what might have been in your DNA as, let's say, ways you're more likely to get ill, things like that. So clearing that, but also clearing ancestral trauma and opening up these pathways for interdimensional travel. And um, this is a much more interdimensional time now, the energies. And so that's one of the hallmarks is physically being ready instead of traveling astrally or in meditation or a dream, traveling with our physical bodies. So that's one example. It's not the only one. We also have a lot more gifts like telepathy and ways of healing, ways of knowing coming online. And it's just extraordinary. But essentially, if we signed up just through our intention as a soul to ascend in this time, it's happening already and has been happening for the last few years, that the cellular structure of us and the DNA are changing, they're evolving. So it's a lot like, even though this metaphor is used so much, it works so well, the butterfly that goes into the cocoon, and that's a painful transition. It goes to liquid. It's not anything it's ever known before, and it's also not very functional for a while. I definitely feel that happened to me. And then you come out as something else. You're not a caterpillar, you're a butterfly. And so, well, now you can fly and you can do all these other things. So we're just emerging, at our own time pace, but the cellular structure now is new. It's different.
Wow, that explains what has been going on. And it seems like 2020, so this was all really since 2019. And we all know what happened in 2020. Was that a deterrent from this energy that is coming to Earth, or do you see it as a facilitation? Because more and more people, as people were spending more time at home,
Mhm.
that was such a huge shift in so many people's lives. So was that all part of the bigger picture? How do you see that? Or how do the angels see that?
This is Angel Raphael. We do think there were attempts to distract humankind or suppress humankind's evolution during those years. However, the future was too bright. The collective wishes of humans, angelic, other galactic beings working towards this rapid ascension moment were too strong to be dampened. And so it's almost in spite of, what happened during that time that the ascension, the evolution still took place. And yes, many people took advantage of, well, great, I have more quiet and I have more ownership over my own life experience now. So it did, we would say, for many, complement what we would say is a time of coming into sovereign being for humankind. No, this is my life, and I'm not going to run around like a rat in a maze. I'm going to take charge now. So it complemented accidentally.
Yes, it complemented. Absolutely. I see that as well. A lot more people woke up and it's beautiful.
Mm.
Okay, thank you. So, the topic of our show here is clearing the energetic transit lines
Yeah.
between ourselves and other life expressions. Start with the transit lines. What do you mean by this?
Yes, this is Angel Raphael. So time travel is one way you could say as a transit, but there's also energy transfer. So, in the example given earlier in this talk about healing the child self, that's a transit of energy from yourself now to a past part of yourself. So, perhaps you don't feel you literally traveled there in time, some do, but perhaps it was just your intent to send energy there and it is received. And so transit can also be blocked by fixed ideas of self that don't allow for your expression in other lives or that don't allow for a new expression in this life that doesn't fit the blueprint of some imprisonment, entrapment you used to be in. So those are just a few examples, but transit line can mean literally travel, but can also be energy. So we would like to transmit, if it's all right and good timing here to transmit for everyone. This is Raphael. So you may have your eyes open if you like, or if you want to close them. The more important thing we would say here is to bring your focus to your heart center. So physical heart, and wider than that, 2, 3, 4 inches. So an orb around the area of your heart center. It's all right if it's just your imagination. You can also place your hands there if it helps you to feel more centered in that place of your being. This is your hub in these times in this new earth. So, not just this week or this month, but in this new expression of yourself, when you feel at all lost or you want to travel and travel from a center point, please use the heart because it is your navigation compass. So, coming in from your heart, we're going to send those of you who believe in or wish to believe in or wish to have the assistance of angels, the angelic, not limited to any religious expression, just the light beings called angel. They are with you now, ready to assist. So that just takes your silent invitation, acceptance. Yes, I would like the angelic to come in to help me with clearing the transit lines between myself right now and any past and future expression of myself, whether that's another lifetime or another time in this one. If you wish, that angelic is flooding in now into your heart and shooting out like the rays of the sun, but from the heart space to past, future, parallel, life expressions of yourself, sending clear intent of clearing, angelic clearing. So if anything is in the way of you expressing yourself exactly as you want to right now, this is being cleared and burned away in sacred fire, sacred angelic fire right now. So you just keep your focus on your heart space, please. And if you want to imagine or visualize, that's fine, but the angelic is doing the work here. So the light is passing through your heart into any expression of yourself before or after this one. with the intent that the transit lines be clear, so that if you wish to have future travel or communication with your different selves, or send energy back and forth, or information back and forth, those pathways, walkways, transit lines are now clear for you, clear and protected for you, your passage. And this is Adria, so if you want to gently, it's a little bit case by case. The angels still may be working with your light, so you could keep your intent softly focused there in your heart, but I think we'll keep talking in the meantime.
Okay, thank you.
Mm.
That is so beautiful. And if we feel that there's a past life, how would we recognize if there's a past life that is affecting us negatively in this timeline? How would we recognize that?
This is Raphael. It's not so important. Sometimes the story is very, very relevant in terms of understanding, oh, that's why I behave this way or why I think this thing. And it does help to let the stuckness go. But in most cases, it's not strictly necessary to know. So for this exercise today, we would suggest just be open that if there is something that's negatively influencing me from another life, that be cleared right now. We can add that in, that if there is a negative influence coming from a past life to this expression, that be fully cleared. So by negative influence, let's say something that's impinging your ability to have free will expression that's clear-headed, clear-viewed, because of course you could still make quote unquote mistakes or different choices or the same choices, and that's not a block or a hindrance, right? It's fine to stumble or try something and not like it, but you don't want to feel you're locked in because you believe in limitations of yourself. So let's add that layer as well now. That if there are any limitations that you believe about yourself from the past or the future or from now, from collected history that's in now, we're inviting the angelic to clear that as well. So you may more clearly see how unlimited you are right in this now. Hmm. And gently again, I feel this very strongly. I'm not sure if any of you do. So if you feel physical sensations around the back or the muscles or the heart, that's okay. Nothing's going wrong. It's physical movement of energy with the angels can be quite powerful. So it's okay.
Oh, thank you. I feel this word sovereign when you were mentioning the unlimitedness of us. And so being bold enough to live authentically. And so it's almost as if we can work with our future selves, the information of our future self, to feel even more empowered, to feel more authentic in the way that we live and show up in this moment. Is that how you see the information from the higher self? Or maybe Adria has used that information to know more about situations in this now moment, or make our skills more advanced in this now moment?
This is Raphael. We would say don't be too locked in to future self because you can change it still, and that's where the empowerment of now. Future self you encounter may be, let's say, if things were to continue without change. However, the world and yourselves are in tremendous change. And so you can upgrade from your future self. She won't mind or he won't mind, right? So let's take that as a gentle, even predictions about future for Earth. And, take that as a gentle sense of, well, okay, that might likely happen if nothing changes, but do I want it to change? And perhaps some of you will come and show yourself, your future self will come and show you some of your gifts so that you can believe in them more strongly. We would say that would be a nice use of this. But don't feel locked in because even if you have gifts, you're not required to use them. So there, from angelic perspective, one of the biggest gifts of New Earth is free will, which means you also have free will from any other time point. You can make a different decision right now.
The choice points, the decisions.
Mm.
Can you describe how that shifts a timeline?
Yeah, this is Adria. I want to make one comment here, and then I'm not sure it's exactly answering because of what you're asking, so we can ask the angels too. What I've experienced in the last few years as we've shifted into this new earth energy is that I'm feeling less worried about making the right choice because things are so fluid. I mean, given all the information I have right now, or what feels the most fun or the most helpful to others, I'll make a choice. You do need to make choices. And certainly the angels are always encouraging me and others, don't wait for someone else to tell you what to do, just what feels joyful. What do you want? And so I'll make these choices, and sometimes within a few days or a few weeks or a few months, it's clear that either that was fun, but it's enough, or that didn't really go quite how I thought. And so I right away just, well, okay, well, what do I want? And I change it. And it's very different. There's not this sense of regret or locked in, like I chose my thing, so I have to live with it for 20 years. It really is days or months or weeks. The time is so much more fluid to fully explore something. So what I feel around choice points is a lot less burden because it's not like, oh no, if I choose wrongly, everything happens badly. It's more like you have all of these directions open and we'll just try one. If you like it, keep going, or if you don't like it, try something else. So there's this sense of exploration and play. It's very, very different for me because I was always super purposeful in this life in my youth. I was always already living in an ashram at the age of 18 and like meditating 3 hours a day. And it's like the purpose, the purpose. And now it's just very different. I feel like it's okay if I try something and I don't like it that well, or there aren't the people there to receive it. I'm like, all right, well, what else do I want? Try something else.
Yeah, I love that. And so as long as we're making choices in joy, and
Mm.
then in hindsight, we turn around and say, well, that wasn't the best. So as long as we stay in joy, that is the key, right? Because it's all fluid. So we can just not judge ourselves or beat ourselves up and realize that things change so much that if we made a choice out of joy and then later decide that it's not our choice, then we're fine with that. There's no problem with that.
Yeah. It's I just have a really practical, simple example of this that's coming up for me of I made a garden bed. It's sort of a raised bed, improvised thing, and planted some wildflowers, and nothing was growing. I think the soil was just kind of the wrong mix for this time of year, this place, and was watering it twice a day. And after about 3 weeks, I was like, you know what? I'm tired of watering my mistakes. I just kind of laughed about it. And within 5 minutes, I got help to like dismantle the logs and move the soil somewhere else. And I tried something else. But it was so light. I didn't feel like, oh, this didn't work. It was just like, wait a minute, this didn't work. Let's change it. It's simple.
Yeah, it's very practical too. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm thinking of certain things in my life. Yeah. Um, okay. We can just change it and it's okay to change it and we don't judge ourselves. I think that's key, right? Judgment.
Yeah.
So New Earth energies, what are they to you? Would you say that they're more like the Lemurian energies returning? How would you describe the New Earth? Call them frequencies. We know that New Earth is a frequency. Are
Yeah.
you able to feel New Earth now from shifting a frequency?
Yeah. It's very, very different. This is Adria. Yeah. Um, I do have memory of living in Lemuria, and what's happening now just feels so different. I don't really think it's like any other galactic or Earth time. I guess we can use the word time, just and and it's so new, I feel like, to all of us, and so definitely to me as well, that I don't yet know all that it is, but so far I've definitely noticed that relationship to time is very different. Relationship to other dimensions is very different, where they've become very accessible, and that's still brand new. And also this reliance on money as a, value system, that like those the three things that the change away from that, is that I definitely viscerally experience pretty much daily. But what else it is, I think we're also new, we're still discovering what that might be. And collective collaborative nature, I think, is another hallmark here. And so telepathy and other things are coming online for us, probably to help assist with that. But and I'm enjoying that too, because I've been someone who's very solo most of this life. So it's fun to feel the playfulness of other beings, humans and others playing along. Yeah.
Yes, okay, that's wonderful. I think in the past couple of years, maybe just the last more so, it seems like each year it gets more um prevalent of the collaborative efforts, meaning everyone on this path is seeing the value of that collaboration, and how it comes about may still be a mystery,
Yeah.
but more people are sensing that. I love that actually,
Mm.
because it's exactly the opposite of everything that we grew up with in the old paradigm, right? And so it seems like all we have to do is do the opposite against every.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the idea of competition falls away because you have these two things now that we're essentially unlimited. Or maybe we were before, but we have so much more access to everything. And so if you're unlimited, there's no sense of lack or needing to, well, if I have it, they don't have it, or vice versa.
right.
So, and then the collaboration just seems to add, because it's amazing, imaginal field where essentially what we want it to be is what happens. It's just such a jaw-dropping time, I feel like, to be alive. But it's very new, so no, I don't know all of what will come for us.
Okay, I have to ask a question. I can sense though some in our audience are um, topsy-turvy on what's going on in the collective.
Yes.
We are in 2024, and my goodness, we should have our jetpacks by now, right? We were kids, we had jetpacks, that was the dream, or flying cars. And instead, we're seeing it feels in a sense like we're going backwards. What
Hmm.
do the angels have to say about this? We've heard many say it's the dross being revealed so it can be healed into love.
Yeah.
Is that what the angels say on this? Because there's a sense, it's
Mm.
sometimes it's like, wow, in the collective, we have to go clear Nazi Germany again. Are you kidding me? We have to do that? It's what it is. And we can see, and so then for those who peek at the news, I know that's vibrationally not a good thing to do, but those who keep their fingers on the pulse tend
Yeah.
to go, wow, okay, we need a lot more light work to be doing here. It's
Mm,
good in one way because it helps us step up and we can radiate energy to certain places.
yeah.
But what would the angels say about keeping on, or what's happening in the collective?
Yes, this is Angel Raphael. A few things here. So, one is that not everyone in the collective, humankind collective, is choosing to, let's use the word ascend. So, everyone is welcome in New Earth. So, that's a given. If you're a human, you're welcome in New Earth. So, it's not a judgment or a value-based, entry system. Everyone is welcome, but not every human soul. So we'll speak at the soul level because the conscious mind may not even be aware of this choice for many. Not everyone at the soul level wants this much change and upheaval as to have the DNA be rewritten and have new abilities and other dimensions, overlapping with your own house. My goodness, that's just too much. That sounds like science fiction, and that's all right. Thank you very much. So we would say very, very roughly 2/3 of the human collective are choosing no thanks, not now. And from angelic perspective, that's not a mistake, or these souls who are choosing not to ascend right now in this lifetime. It's not, they don't need to be saved from their own choices, because at the end of this life, they'll have other choices. They can jump right to other ascensions or parallel journeys. So we would say for your listeners here, make your own choice. Do I want to ascend? That's the most important thing. So when something is coming up, as you say, like the dross for clearing, if it's coming up in your own emotional system, your own physical system, that's probably what it is if you've chosen to ascend. If you're seeing it play out in politics, warfare, and so on, skirmishes, just notice, well, is this really new for humankind? Have there been bigotries and wars for many eons? And is this really very new or worse right now?
Mm.
Or is it because I have ascended and so I see it more clearly for the, let's say, stupidity that it is? So allowing others to have their choices doesn't mean, all right, I'll just shrug and say, well, genocide happens. It's not that. But uh, notice if it's clearing in you, it is this ascension. If it's in the collective, it may be an ongoing expression of lower density vibratory life.
Thank you for that. Wow. Okay. All right. The opportunity is open
Mm,
for every man, woman, and child to ascend,
mm.
but not everyone chooses it, and that's the free will. All right, light workers, we've got our marching orders, and we know we can't prevent anyone from their own wake up,
Mm,
but we can support in the wake up.
yeah.
We can't do the work for anybody, but we
Mm.
can support in the work that needs to be done individually, one heart at a time. Okay. So that really, thank you for that. That really puts it into a healthy perspective that we shouldn't take it so well. I mean, it's when you look at women and children being killed and things that are not right,
Mm.
that has been going on this planet for eons. And so I can see the inner work, the journey within each of us. That's where it happens first. Do you want to add anything on this concept of the personal journey and the work that we do within ourselves and how that will help and influence the rest of the world?
Yeah, this is Adria. I want to add something on this. The angels have been saying a lot about they like to use this word quantum. And when we change, so let's say you're just meditating in your own uh like what we just did today, maybe you're doing that in your own room, timeline clearing. And you don't tell anyone about it, and you don't necessarily, write a book about it, but you've just changed something in yourself. And what happens then for the collective is that energy is now available. And the more of us that make changes, positive choices for our own ascension, the more that's available for the collective on a quantum level. So, without being too technical about that word, it's just like the idea might occur to someone else. Oh, maybe I could do this differently. Or maybe there's someone who could help me with this kind of upheaval. I bet there's others who are going through this. And then your role as a light worker can be to help people. There's so many kinds of light workers, but so many of us are feeling upheaval at different stages of this. And if you've been through parts of the stages, you can be like, it's okay. I know it's crazy, it's nuts right now, but it's really also really good. And let's work with it together.
Yeah, I love taking the look at the good side. It's one part of this is there's a pressure cooker for the
Mm.
collective to surrender to love. I see that. I've seen that. But then I do also like to read between the lines in the mainstream news. I read, not watch the news, that watch the video, and that's so different. The vibrational aspects of that is incredible, and the sound, the dramatic boom ba-doom music that could be put behind the news story. It's pretty incredible. But I like to read between the lines for New Earth expressions. And so that's happening. And then other platforms for information, like you coming on a show like this, uplifts us in that way. So that's beautiful. And, recently there was a white buffalo calf that was born. Isn't
Mm.
that amazing? So there are markers all along. We just have to keep our eyes open for it and our feeling of it.
Yeah.
So on our ascension journey, the feeling is really the key. Would you agree? Our feeling. And that's what leads us into telepathy and all of it. It's our feeling. Can you expand more on the importance of our feeling in our body, feeling in our senses?
Yeah, this is Adria. The physicality of this is definitely in my own experience, and I hear so many people saying this. It's the embodiment of the divine or the embodiment of the higher end energies, which means we're bringing it in and through us. And so, attending to, if you have a sensation in your body, it may be something medical, physical, it may also be energetic. And so, kind of being curious and looking into just relaxing your focus a little. Well, what is this really? And particularly if you go to whoever you usually see for healing or medical advice and they're stumped, okay, well, I wonder if this could be something energetic running through me. And yes, things have gotten so physical for me. I definitely when I was meditating so much when I was a teenager, I mean, I was not in my body. Did not like it here. I didn't want to be in the physical. And that's been pretty recent for me to feel like, no, this is part of it. And I feel energy move through my body. Like when you said white buffalo calf, I felt all this energy here. So it's
Wow.
physical. And yeah, encourage people to think of their body as an antenna or an expression of your energy. It's all part of it. It's also in the physical world. I feel like things that would have been meditation journeys or inner contemplations show up as an animal or a person or a literal sign in the world. I mean, we really are experiencing it in the physical now, which is wild and fun.
Remember that it's wild and fun. Yes, wild and fun. Well, all right. What I've noticed recently, and like 30 years ago, that was the first time I felt my ears ringing,
Yeah.
moving of energy that way. And it sideswiped me. It was like, wow, I kind of freaked out. I had to sit down and do a yoga pose. Didn't know
Yeah.
what else to do. I could have freaked out. Now I'm used to it. And now I actually pay attention to it. What is happening when we hear
Mm.
tones in our ears? And it's amazing because tones could be in different ears. Some
Mhm.
could make one ear just go totally deaf, like no sound at all, except for the tone. Very weird. Other times, um, there's people reporting that the sound goes from one ear to the other ear. It can feel like it crosses. And then sometimes you can feel like a brainwave shift.
Yeah.
So what is happening here? This is fascinating. Is it another
Yeah.
dimension or is it energy? What is it?
Well, I'm sure it's not just one thing, but this is Adria. I'll give some of my recent experience here because I'm very auditory. So when I channel, it's not exactly like hearing a voice, but it comes through an auditory way rather than me seeing visions so that's my strength is more through the hearing. So when I first started experiencing other dimensions, it and others in the group were seeing things or perceiving it in different ways. I was hearing it. So one dimension for me sounded a little bit like didgeridoo, and my whole body was vibrating a certain way. In a different dimension, I could hear voices talking to me. And so I know ringing ears could be many things, but right now, since the dimensions are so, the veil between is so thin, as people say that expression, you may be hearing other dimensions.
Okay, that's very, very cool. So I guess the takeaway is not to feel freaked out by it or worried, but just to simply pay attention. And
Yeah,
yeah, what do you do? I mean,
at
wow.
first, let's say in the last year or two, because that's when things for me started getting really physical. I feel like my first response was always red alert. I'm under attack. Angels, come help me. Or when there was some weird feeling somewhere in my body or some different sound. And now I just pay attention. Okay, hold on. Not everything is a red alert. In fact, the last 100 have not been red alerts. So yes, this feels very uncomfortable. Like my whole head feels like it's bending open, and I don't do any intoxicants. um, what is going on? Because if I can just breathe and witness it a little bit, you usually get some information, some sense of sometimes it is something that should be cleared, and then I'll see if I can do it or ask the angels for help. In my case, I love asking angels. I'm sure each of you have different methods for and helpers. Um, but that, especially now because a lot of our perceptive gifts are coming in, if you can just be patient for 5 minutes and just observe the sensation or the sound, see what you perceive about it. You don't necessarily have to run to someone else for help. It may be a beautiful gift. You may have all the tools to understand that gift. You just have to give it a minute. This is new. What is it? And just watch or listen as if you had the ability, it's coming to you and you have a sensation. So you may just have the ability to decode it if you're patient for a minute.
Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for reminding us that we don't need to run to anyone else. I think that's some of our first instincts is to look outside of ourselves and have someone else tell us. But this notion of going within and paying attention to it and asking, right? We can ask what
Yeah.
that is and being patient because it's our experience and we can decode it. Thank you. That's very helpful. Okay. I love the fact that it could be going to another dimension, shifting dimensions. That's pretty cool. And so what we're going to do now is talk about interdimensional travel.
Yeah.
You've got a program that you're offering for our audience on interdimensional travel. And this is exciting because it's all here right now. So what does that mean that we can move into other dimensions and explore other dimensions? Tell us about this offer. Thanks.
Yeah. So again, this is one of those things that seem like a concept. I've heard a lot of people talk about it. I believed that we were shifting frequencies in New Earth and that there are other dimensions. I believed in them, but the angels actually led us through. So it was a live video course. The angels led us through walking into different dimensions and experiencing what they're like. And then there was follow-ups for about 4 weeks after that. So a lot of detailed questions and as people practice, in their own home on their own time, questions came up, both contextual and practical. So there's more than 3 hours of channeled angel content leading us into other dimensions, and then also answering questions about, well, what just happened? What's the purpose of being able to travel in other dimensions? And so it's a lot of fun, and to me, just brand new and very exciting.
Thank you. I love that. That is available right here on this webpage. I encourage all of those watching and listening to scroll down and check it out. It's at a really affordable price, a playground price, I want to say, because you can get your feet wet with this and begin to explore with the angelic realm. The angels are assisting us in this interdimensional exploration, and that is very safe and secure and so beautiful. And so learning how to communicate with those realms and also collaborate with those realms is part of our birthright and our skills. So it's beautiful that we can move into this now. I think it's great because this is a wonderful opportunity for people to purchase this program, download it, work on it, and in another few months or another half a year, we're going to be doing a summit series on interdimensionality.
Oh, fun.
Yes, interdimensional beings and communication. And so
Oh,
that is exciting. So we'll invite you back for that one too, Adrian.
wonderful. I'd love that. I'll have more practice by then too.
Well, and so it's some of the beings that can be met in the other realms from our 3D perspective or from an unawakened 3D perspective. Some could get really frightened if they see
Yes, yes,
certain, because they're not always human, right? They could be different forms or energetic structures too. What
yes.
have you learned from like the types of beings from other dimensions, like the mantid beings, right? Or
Yeah, I don't think I've experienced that one, although if it was in sound, I may have and not know it yet. But personally, right now I've been communicating with some beings who are, um, I would say, in the earth, but more humanoid of different sizes. So those might be like gnomes or trolls, something like that. I don't quite know what the names for them yet, but I've also been communicating with a giant. So it was not from inside the earth. It's from, he says, up. So those are some of the beings that I've experienced. As a channel, I speak with the angelic and other realms as well, other dimensions. But I'm just speaking about myself in my yard, just tuning in differently and hearing messages and starting to get faint visual impressions of beings and just kind of meeting the neighbors. I mean, it's so wild, but it's beautiful insights because, of course, they will have a different perspective on me, on life. And so we're just kind of sharing stories right now as I go out in the garden, just sharing different perspectives on life. And it hasn't gotten very serious in terms of collaborations for Earth or things like that. They may come, but for now it's, well, let's meet each other first and feel safe. And who are you and what are you? And it's amazing.
wow, that is wonderful. And so the people who partake of your course will learn how to do that and begin to communicate as well and experience those. And I'm very excited about that too, because your messages that you're receiving from them, there's no doomsday, is there?
No, I haven't, it really lines up with what the angels are saying, which again is an adjustment for me, that it's not so much like the purpose, it's just, well, explore. Who are they? And, you haven't been able to visit there before. And every time you travel on vacation in this dimension on Earth, it's not that there's a purpose necessarily, you want to explore something new. So I'm taking it with that much lightness because I saw, the first time some of these beings wanted to speak to me, I was like, okay, what, like, why are you here? And it must be actionable and serious. And what's the agenda? And I just kind of laughed at myself because this giant was like, just being friendly.
Oh, the Jolly Green Giant.
Totally jolly. Some of these fairy tales, I'm starting to wonder about how real some of them are. So yeah.
So, as we wrap up our conversation here, I wanted to have you share on how people would begin to trust as we
Hmm.
begin to work with this, um, or even become aware that there's a being. Do you have a protocol? Do you see certain signs, feel certain sensations? And so what would one begin to do in that instance if they're feeling an energy?
Yeah, I think that everyone's so different in terms of do you, I would say, have a map with yourself, what feels safe, whether that's asking your guides, if you're someone who can communicate and get answers that you understand, or feeling it in your body. Like the gut is a beautiful place for that because it's very protective. So if you practice, let's say before traveling or trying some of these new gifts, asking your gut, what does it feel like, when I'm safe and when I'm not safe? And having that benchmark for yourself. Then, if you're about to meet a being or try something new, you could ask yourself, you're somewhere in your body, okay, is this safe? And then, oh, yeah, it feels good. So I do that a lot. I mean, fears come up for me for sure, around meeting these different beings and just stepping into other dimensions, not knowing where I'm stepping into. And so I ask the angels a lot, and a lot of it's happening in their sort of guidance, or they're leading the experience. So I personally have tremendous trust in them, so I'm able to let go more in those times. But as I explore my own, oh boy, am I asking myself, my angels, like, is this okay? Should I be following this? What's their agenda? What's going on? So yeah, I'm not totally blind trust, but I would say that what I've experienced so far is so friendly, so safe. I have not felt any, except for in my mind, any need for caution. So it has felt surprisingly easy and delightful.
And you are in the realm of the angels, and so that's a frequency that you are at. So are you asking for that frequency and higher, nothing lower? Sort of a protocol, right? So meet my frequency or nothing lower.
I haven't um done that. I mean, it sounds like a good idea.
Good.
But this idea of higher and lower, I feel like is a bit different. Like many things with New Earth, the concept doesn't really match, what I used to think. So how I think about dimensions right now is it's more like a layer cake. So the lower levels aren't, it might be chocolate versus raspberry. One's not
Better.
necessarily bad. So, for example, inside of Earth, there is beautiful beings who are very knowledgeable. It's not to me like a dark place. So, higher and lower in that sense, in terms of the dimensions to visit, I haven't personally traveled anywhere that felt like, uh-oh, better get out fast. But I suppose that I attract and resonate with things that are going to be delightful for me. So it would be a good idea to put an intention before travel or exploration. Okay, I want to experience something new but safe and fun, or I want to experience something that will help the planet, or whatever is important to you.
Um,
Yeah. But
uh,
it's so new, I don't have a map of it yet, really. But sense of higher and lower is it's different than I thought.
okay, well said. I love that concept of asking to explore for it's a light worker duty, exploring other realms for information that
Mhm.
can help us um, help the earth and do our work on the earth, guardians of the earth. And
Mhm.
that's why you were connected to beings from in the earth. So, and working with your garden and all this. So, all right, that's beautiful. Really wonderful. So as we say goodbye today, I wanted to see if there's a message. Is there any other message from one of the angels or interdimensional beings that you'd like to offer for our audience? Thank you.
Yes, this is Angel Raphael. So, since some fears came up and some trepidations, we want to address this right now and not let it sit. So, it is your right to call in protection, help, fun, play. So, each of you have angels already assigned with you for your missions here on Earth. So, you don't have to earn that, you have that. You also may have other guides or other energies you love to work with. So you're not alone in this exploration. So always, always, please feel free to call on the angels. Okay, I'm a little nervous or I'm a little excited. Can you stand with me and just watch my back? Be protective. Let me be safe. Absolutely, you always, always have that right and gift.
Thank you so much. Beautiful message of support and light for our journey and our exploration. Thank you, Adria. And I want to share one more time for our audience to check out the interdimensional travel course with Adria. You can look into that and experiment with it and explore with it. It's beautiful. Adria, thank you, thank you, thank you for being here and sharing your wisdom and messages of the angels.
It's my great pleasure. Thank you so much for bringing all these amazing light workers, sharing them so freely. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks everyone for watching. Namaste. Thank you for listening to this quantum conversation, and thank you for dancing with us to the cosmic heart. As we raise our own vibration, we raise the vibration of the planet. This show is dedicated to you and all awakening hearts, as we are here to shine our bright light and amplify our love. I'm Loren Gailey, and from my sacred heart to yours, I honor your magnificent love and light. This has been a presentation of New Earth One Network, your home for New Earth living. Access information, education, and videos on living from the heart in unity consciousness. Visit newearth1.com.